always say the number one thing, the most important thing in this entire process, whether you're working through a minor thing or a big thing, is your attitude and your mindset. And I can't help that. I can help support, but I can't go in your brain and start changing those things, right? It's huge though, because basically it's kind of like if you imagine that your brain is like a kid or your body, like there's a relationship, how you talk to your body, would you talk to a kid that way? And so usually the answer is no. And so if the answer is no, then like, why would your body heal well and do the best it possibly can if you keep not telling it good things? And so as frustrating as things can be and bad timing or whatever it is, just taking a step back and being like, okay, like this is the situation that I'm in. How can I see the good and the positive in it? And what can I control at this time?
Hey lady, welcome to Confessions of a Surf Lady, a podcast by the Surf Society. For so long, women have been misrepresented by the surf industry, only highlighting a narrow and exclusive version of who a surf lady can be. But you and I both know that there is so much more to women surfing than that. This podcast right here is a place to tell our story, how we want to tell it. At Confessions of a Surf Lady, you'll meet everyday surf ladies doing amazing things in their local communities, as well as pros, world champs, big wave riders, and badass living legends from women's surf history, all sharing their stoke on this blossoming global women's surf culture. What's even more special, though, is that you, yes you, will get a chance to participate in the conversation by leaving me your confessions. I'm your host, Laura Day. Think of me as your new favorite surf sister, connecting you to your beautiful global women's surf community, helping you boost your confidence before you head out for your next surf, and even dropping a few surf tips from the Surf Society along the way. If you want to stay connected with me, find me on Instagram. That's at Confessions of a Surf Lady. Kind of use that like my personal account. And then go ahead and follow at Surf Society. That's SURF SOCIETE. There, you'll find a handful of free resources to help you through your surfing journey. All right, lady, thanks again for joining me here at Confessions of a Surf Lady, where we're cultivating a global women's surf culture through thoughtful conversation. Let's get to our episode, yeah? Thank you so much for visiting me in my home, not just visiting me on the podcast. I love how you have kind of made the visit to Laura it's kind of becoming annual. I'm not going to lie. This is second annual trip to visit.
Third, actually.
Oh, third. You're right.
In a calendar year. It's third.
Third in a calendar year?
Yeah, because it was December and there's January. I had a conference. And
December's last year, though.
Well,
you mean in a 12-month cycle? Shit. Oh, damn. You're setting a high standard then.
I know.
So the first time you came, you actually came out because we went on a trip to Baja with Manny, which we were literally just laughing about how much fun that was. It was a group of girls from the Surf Society, Alexis being one of them, and Denise and Christina and Josephine and Chuck. Her name was Jensen, but we call her Chuck. But it was our group, and it just so fun. I think mostly because we all kind of know each other a little bit, ahead of time from online stuff, but just such a good time.
Yeah, and especially just getting to meet everybody in person because it was only Zoom.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see everybody, and then we just hit it all. We just laughed the entire weekend.
We laughed so much. Yeah. It was so good. We laughed, we ate, we surfed. It was amazing. So good. It's good enough for her to come back is what we're saying. Yeah. What's been so cool is over the years, our friendship has really developed because of the Surf Society. You've been a surf guide. I guess that's why I feel like you've been on the podcast. You've been a surf guide at the Surf Society. Tell us about your background and kind of what you offered for Surf Society.
Yeah. So some of the things that I do in practice, I'm a chiropractor, but specialize more in functional movement, stability, and strength training. So very different than the typical, adjustment and leave kind of deal. We're looking to retrain more movement patterns and get people prepped for their activities. So for me, I want to surf when I'm 80 years old, forever, as long as I can. And so my goal is to teach people how do you take care of your body for that long-term goal, right? How do you, if you want to enjoy your surfing, what do we have to do? How do you train? How do you move? What kind of strength training should you be doing? What kind of circuits you should be doing just to help make sure that everything stays feeling good, right? You're not having a back injury or a shoulder injury or a knee injury. And if you do, what do you do and how do you rehab it so that you can get back quickly?
Yeah. And so we had four workshops, I think, in the Surf Society. That is part of our, it's called the Surf Lab. So that's our library of resources. So the workshops that Alexis did with us and took us through, they're still in there. Our members can enjoy them and learn from them today. The key thing is that, I don't know if you guys remember, I got injured at my last trip to Baja. Alexis wasn't there. This was in September, in the summer. Fucking stupid. I went for a surf in the morning, super stoked, was surfing leashless, perfect day for it. Came in, had like a light breakfast. We decided we'd go for another surf before lunch. Decided I didn't need to wax my board because I just waxed it. Well, it was really hot, so all that wax had melted. Go for the second session, first wave, slip off of it, and I decide I don't want to lose my board, so I try to keep my front foot on the board. And in falling, I totally twisted my knee. And then I go for a third session. Unrelated, I busted the second knee open and it was like bleeding all over the place. Yeah, Alexis is shaking her head. Yeah, so that put me out of the surf for a while. But Alexis here, is just there to give me an expectation of, or like tell me what to expect and also help me rehab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your biggest concern when you did that?
That I would always have a chronic issue. Yeah, that was my biggest thing. Like, is this, when people talk about getting old, like you injure one thing and then it's forever. That was my biggest thing. Yeah, that there'd always be something about it that didn't feel right. Yeah.
And then what about, that's super common. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And so the other biggest thing I hear too is you're afraid to get back to just surfing or doing anything.
Yeah.
Does that sound like
Yeah, definitely. So I think I took the first 4 weeks. I couldn't really walk that much actually. And it was like an interesting time. And we've talked about this on the other level outside of physical stuff, just the things that happen in your life and how they're kind of meant to be. But it was an interesting time too, because I also lost this job that I was working at that time. And then I also couldn't fucking walk, which kind of went hand in hand because I was like, well, if I wouldn't be able to go to that job anyway, because I couldn't even walk. I was at home. And it just gave me a lot of time to prioritize stuff with my health. You had given me a series of workouts that I could do, simple things I could do here at home. And I think it was 4 weeks till I went back to the gym, maybe a little more, maybe almost 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Till I went back to the gym and not doing the workouts. I go to a CrossFit gym, so not doing CrossFit workouts, but doing workouts that you prescribed and some weight training and things that I was comfortable with. But I think it was more than 8 weeks before I surfed again. Yeah. I was really nervous.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
Yeah. And that's expected, right? That's why, the name of my practice is Fearless Movement, right? Because if you get hurt, the biggest fear usually is you don't want to re-injure it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go back to where you were before. And then also, as you said, is this going to be a forever thing? Am I always going to have a knee issue now?
Right.
And that's those are very common questions and fears that people have. But you did the right thing. And you moved, even when it didn't feel good.
Right.
Right. And so, especially if there's pain, we get very afraid of moving and are hesitating and we don't want to make it worse. But our body is meant to move. And so I always say, if there's, especially if you're going through an injury right now or you hurt something and you're still trying to get back to it, you got to listen to the pain signals. But generally, you have to keep moving in different ways because otherwise, then it's just a snowball effect. Right? Because if you hurt your knee, then you're going to start walking differently. And then all of a sudden, now your hip's going to hurt on the other side.
This is true story.
Right? And all of a sudden, not only do you have a knee problem, now you have a hip problem. And then you have a foot problem. And it just starts to snowball, right? And just typically, I see this happen a lot with people who are told to rest completely and not do anything. And I always say, maybe for a little bit of time, there has to be some. But we have to still move in different ways because otherwise you get stuck in this cycle.
Yeah.
And you never seem to get out of it.
Right. And the main thing you told me was if you don't move it, you'll lock it up. It'll just get locked up. And that did kind of for you. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get locked up, because it was already feeling tight and stuff. So gradually with that and the very kind of strategic controlled workouts I was doing on my own, just things where I knew if I tried that and it didn't feel right, I could change it. Then I finally got to a point, I feel like you were kind of telling me, you're ready, go. I was nervous. Thankfully, I had planned a Surf Society like meetup with a group of girls to surf, the first one I'd planned in a while. And, 3 or 4 girls showed up. And, the report was bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's so funny because, like, those aren't things like when you're in the practice of surfing all the time, you get used to it. You don't really think about it. You're not like, oh, it's 2 to 3 or it's 3 to 4. Like, it's not a big deal. But when you're thinking about an injury, it's like 3 to 4 on a Saturday. And I thought the report said 2 to 3. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to handle this? I'm like, I'm going to stay in the smaller section. It's crowded. There's people. I was really happy to have like that. Not that they knew they were being a support group. I was like, hey guys, you're actually a support group. That's, but that really helped me. Like I felt like a lot more confident going out. And I did tell myself, just choose waves where you have a confident exit. Like today, you and I were surfing, and I was taking off on anything, right? Because there was nothing much out there anyway. But that day, I was like, unless I'm really confident there's an open shoulder and I can get in and out without wiping out too bad, then I'll take it. Because my fear was wiping out and twisting my knee a weird way.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes sense. How did you feel being out of the water that long?
Oof. I think I'm pretty like resilient to, hey, you can't do this right now. It's not that it's easy, but I just look forward to like, I will do it again. I know some people can't. And like literally people were like, oh, you should just wear a knee brace and surf. I'm like, no. I'm like, they're like, yeah, I tore my ACL and I wore a knee brace and I surfed. And I'm like, whatever. Okay, you did that. Like, I'm like, I'm not ready. More because with surfing, as far as like your movement patterns, sometimes they're so fucking random. Like that's.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's different if I go into the gym and I do a squat. I know what's going on. But no, you just fall a weird way and, so. And like when I look back on it, it's like, yeah, I was like frothing, but now that I'm back in the water, I'm not really thinking about how hard that was. And I do know that I'm always just like looking forward to the next. We talked about the other day, there'll always be another wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a shift, I think, in the mindset. I mean, even for me, I was out of the water for 4 or 6 weeks this year because I had some weird ear thing that we still couldn't figure out. But I was told like no water just in case.
Yeah.
And actually no physical activity. So I went from going, I'm like always doing all the things, not just surfing, to like nothing except walking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like really hard for you. I know you're an active girl. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, right? But in the beginning, I thought it was going to be really hard, but it really kind of wasn't. I actually looked forward to the walks because I was like, well, this is the only thing I can do anyway. But then also when I was finally able to go back, I mean, I'll never forget the moment of having my board and getting in the water and just feeling the water. And I was just like, I will never, ever take this for granted ever again.
Yeah.
Even if how crappy it is, there's no wave. I'm in Florida, Jacksonville, so this is how it goes. Like, you get whatever you get.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care if it's 6 inches and it's a wind swell and there's nothing happening. If there's something you can surf and you can be in the water, we should just be grateful that we're there.
Yeah.
Versus my attitude before was the fear of missing out and I have to be there and, wanting to get the maximum wave count. And I think that's just after that experience of being away from it, I just don't have that same mindset anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of the things I did notice, which I don't know if helped, I didn't go to the beach for 8 weeks. I didn't go to the beach.
I did the same. I actually did the same thing.
Really?
I avoided the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go at all.
Yeah.
And a part of it, I realized like, wow, like, cause I work at home on the computer and I realized like that is my unintentional break when I'd surf. Like I wouldn't have to tell myself you have to take a break because I was just surfing and then I'd come home and I'd work and would have done something for myself and I would have been out in the sun. I would have been active. But when I wasn't doing that, I was like, oh, damn, like that was a big part of it. I do think it helped just not putting myself at the beach. That helped not going to the beach. But then I realized I wasn't spending enough time outdoors. I wasn't breaking up my routine enough. But something that you did tell me that would really help, what you're just like, just get up and walk every 15 minutes. Like get up from the chair or whatever you're doing just so to keep it moving. Like,
but that's what like someone should be normally doing anyway. Yeah. Like we all think like, oh, if I sit for an hour, my back hurts. I'm like, yeah, because you shouldn't sit for an hour. Like, you need to get up. Right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully, some of the habits along the way when you're going through a process like this, you start to just keep some.
Yeah.
Like, I just have a habit of, all right, I just shift my position every 20 minutes because it's just, your body will thank you for that. It's not meant to be in a solid place, one spot for a sustained period of time. We're meant to move.
Yeah.
You know, and we try to just shove ourselves in a chair on the computer or in the car and think that we're going to be fine after and not have anything be tight or whatever. Something is the back, the shoulder, the neck, whatever it is, insert. But that's not how we're meant to be.
Right.
To move.
Right.
You know?
Fearlessly.
Yeah.
Fearless movement. That's Alexis' business plug, by the way.
Yeah.
Her practice is called Fearless Movement.
Yeah. What do you think still is the biggest takeaway from that whole experience?
The biggest takeaway, and I would say the knee thing happened, and I was like, oh gosh, like I also for a while, I mean, if you look at like my history in the last 4 to 6 to 8 years, right? I've just been trying to get in a place that felt sustainably healthy, like actions that I could implement every day that made me feel like I was living a healthy lifestyle. And that's not always easy when you're not living in a place that's conducive to allowing you to do what you need to do. So the apartment I lived before this, like I had smokers upstairs, like just stuff like that. So I've lived here for a year now. And you and I have talked a lot about like chronic stress and decompressing from all of that, how long it takes. And I think I finally came to a place where I was like, my body feels safe. I'm here in this space. I'm like really ready to implement more exercise, like better eating habits, just all of it all around, healthier mindset. And then I got injured. And part of me was like, oh, motherfucker, like, you know what I mean? I was just getting back to the gym, like, because this past summer, like, I was just getting back to the gym. I was like surfing and doing yoga, and I was feeling a lot more like this is my active self that I've been missing for many years and just having gone that routine. So it's funny because I get injured, I lose that job that I was working. I got injured. That actually created the constraints for me to focus on my health. I guess that's what I needed to really make like those big changes. I mean, one, like realizing I need to be like more financially conscious because fucking food is like eating out is really expensive, especially here in California. So just deciding like, I'm not going to eat out anymore. Right. So just for now, because I'm not working as much. And then with my knee, I mean, I couldn't do much. So it's like, I had a lot of time to think about it. That time reset me 100%. Reset me, put me on like this other path where I finally feel like strong progress with my body that I've been looking for years.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine this. What if you felt empowered to establish your place in intimidating lineups? What if you developed the mental toughness to surf new locations in challenging conditions so you could surf more often, catch more waves, and have more fun in every session? What if you had the knowledge and the physical skill to catch and ride more waves so you could practice maneuvers like cross-stepping, nose riding, trimming, carving, and ultimately become a better surfer on the wave? Last but not least, what if you had a sisterhood of friendships with women all over the world who support your growth in the lineup? Women who are passionate about the sport and the lifestyle and know how to have fun, but also bring quality conversations to the table that help you push your surf skills and celebrate your wins. All of this is a part of being a member at the Surf Society, which is my women's online community that was really inspired by this podcast. So if you love this podcast, you are going to love the Surf Society. Join us for your first week free by hitting the link at the top of the show notes, because I would love to see you there. When I get out of the water, my skin is dry. Enter my new favorite sidekick on and off the beach, this beautiful hair and body dry oil from our sponsors at Dip. Forget the lotion, perfume, or the hair serum because this oil is going to replace them all. It comes in a range of beautiful scents that are phthalate-free, and as always with Dip's commitment to sustainability, this product is refillable. Finally, you can get that just surfed sun-kissed glow. Spray this silky smooth oil on your skin or run it through your hair to rehydrate your locks after a long day in the salt and sun. The best part is this oil is fast absorbing and leaves no residue on your hands. Get out of the surf and get on with your day with beautiful self-care products from dipalready.com. Use the code Confessions of a Surf Lady to get 15% off at checkout. I'll have the link in the show notes for you. Let's be real. Growing a surf business can feel overwhelming, especially when it comes to marketing. If you know your surf business needs a serious boost, but you don't know where to start, that's where Lachlan at the Surfing Copywriter comes in. He's a lifelong surfer who speaks our language, telling stories and writing copy that connects with your community in a real and authentic way. With radically honest copywriting and marketing support, he helps you sell products, book retreats, and keep your gear flying off the shelves. Learn more and get in touch with Lachlan at thesurfingcopywriter.com and start converting more customers with marketing that actually works. I'll put that link in the show notes for you.
But that's really, really profound, right? Because this is the difference between someone who does really well in the healing process and someone who doesn't, and that thing becomes chronic. And it's what you just said, it's just your attitude.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the people I work with in the practice, I always, always, always say the number one thing, the most important thing in this entire process, whether you're working through a minor thing or a big thing, is your attitude and your mindset. And I can't help that. I can help support, but I can't go in your brain and start changing those things, right? It's huge though, because the way that basically it's kind of like if you imagine that your brain is like a kid and your body, like there's a relationship, how you talk to your body, would you talk to a kid that way? And so usually the answer is no, right? And so if the answer is no, then like, why would your body heal well and do the best it possibly can if you keep not telling it good things, right? And so as frustrating as things can be and bad timing or whatever it is, just taking a step back and being like, okay, like this is the situation that I'm in. How can I see the good and the positive in it? And what can I control at this time, right? Because you can't magically just, get your MCL to be behaving as it wants to be like instantly, but we can provide the environment so that it can actually heal and your body can do its thing. And how do we do that? As you just said, it's the food, it's the mindfulness, it's the stress management, because stress is the number one thing why people have pain anyway and all these other injuries, because there's excess stress in places there it shouldn't be. How do we go through that? Well, it's being mindful and taking time and doing things for yourself and filling your cup. That's what tells your nervous system it's safe. But we make excuses and we say we're too busy until something like this happens and it forces you to stop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now that we're forced to stop, it's like, oh, this is what I've been trying to do all along.
Isn't that so funny? Because other people, like Diana said something about it too. Like other people said something about it too. And there were other like kind of coincidences of like, oh, the knee is tied to this other thing and just really interesting stuff. And I mean, now we're almost 3 months from that injury and like I see that perspective. The other thing I forgot to mention was you recommended I do acupuncture. And so I found this community acupuncture, which I didn't know existed, community acupuncture.
Super cool.
Yeah, affordable acupuncture on a sliding scale where they treat many people, within a certain amount of time. So they're able to give you like a price that you can really afford. And they had recommended for the knee that I was coming in twice a week. So, I mean, if you're doing that in an acupuncturist's office, I think I'm talking a couple $100
each time you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is really great because it was something that I was able to do. And then I'd never done acupuncture before. And I started to really understand like, wow, this is why people do this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's amazing for the healing process and just getting your stress response out of that and getting you into that rest and parasympathetic state. And not even just for a physical injury. There's so many things you can treat using acupuncture. So many things. And it's the worst case, I always say, it doesn't work. That's the biggest negative. And the biggest positive, it does all these great things. And there's no medicine involved.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
And that's probably been the coolest thing. And I've realized that is a resource in my back pocket for when I am having a stressful week, when I'm not sleeping well, whatever it is, like going and doing that kind of helps reset for a little bit. It really helps relax. I feel like that's a gift in all of this. Like, as you say, like I had a chance to like revisit like what my lifestyle is like. And, now that's something that I will implement regularly, as opposed to just waiting till I get injured to go.
Yeah, I always say it's kind of like, what is the gift in this? Because everything that we go through, it's never for no reason, right? There's always something that we're meant to learn or experience. And, sometimes we can't understand exactly why, but it's always about for me, it's always going back to okay, how can I still show up in the best possible way through this process? And instead of constantly turning in negatively towards the body, like how can we support it in a way where it's going to heal as it should? Because your body can do everything it needs to do on its own, but we just resist a lot of those things. And we have all these false beliefs like, oh, I need this. And it's like, it knows what to do. You just have to give it good food, good water, good rest. And we tend not to even do that.
Yeah.
Right? And so why would it do what it's supposed to do if we won't even give it the basics? And it still shows up, right? Like it still doesn't.
Yeah.
So
that's
cool
kind of
thing.
what, like in a sense, that's how it's so resilient that we tend to push that limit and become in a state of stress, not knowing we're in a state of stress because that's like our normal.
Yeah.
And not actually also not understanding that we're actually putting that onto our body and over time that can be kind of dangerous or can really show health effects, which that's something I've really learned. It's like I've gone through a couple stressful years in my life that were years ago. I would say 8 years ago now, but I only feel like now I've decompressed, finally understood the lessons from all of that, got to a place I feel really safe and that my nervous system can literally when I'm here, the number one thing is I feel safe here. And that I can't say that in many of the places I've lived in the last 10 years that I've truly felt that way. It's not that I was constantly under threat. I mean, in some situations, but that's a completely different feeling. And I think that part helped with the healing part. I mean, I'm super grateful for that. Having been injured and being able to be here in this house, in this apartment.
Space.
Yeah. In this space that's my space and where I feel 100% safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge because again, if you don't feel safe, it's like your basic needs. It's food, it's shelter. And people always think, oh, safe, there's a threat. No. It's just the lack of safety just means chronic, there's a stress response.
Yeah.
Which could be you're not sleeping well, there's not a good recovery, there's a lot of stuff going on at work, there's a lot of stuff going on in the family, there's a lot of health issues, insert whatever that is. That is all stress. And the crazy thing is, our brain can't tell the difference between physical, mental, emotional stress. It's all the same interpreted. So that's why I always say, yes, we can do all the greatest stretches and movements in the world, and I can reteach you movement patterns that you've never done anywhere else, because that's true. I always believe that. We do the most special things in the clinic, but it matters nothing if you don't have these other areas. We're not working at these other areas. It matters so much, if not more, because that's what drives the rest of the ship.
Yeah.
If you're waking up and you have a lot of stress going on mentally and emotionally, your body knows that, and it's more of a stress response, and that's all just going to cause more inflammation. Your body's not going to heal as well. The immune system isn't going to do its job like it's supposed to. And it's just it's a snowball.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the craziest thing. And that's why visualization is so powerful, and just being able to imagine the healing process and things healing, because your body and brain, they don't know the difference of what's being imagined and what actually is real, which is crazy. But that's why that stuff works. People are always so surprised. I have someone I was working with that we noticed it happened 4 times. So I think after the 4th time, I think we see there's some sort of correlation. Every time we went and had a few drinks, not so great food, his back would go out. He was doing great in between. He didn't lift anything, but he went on, he went on a trip, came back, didn't eat great, had a lot of alcohol, and he sneezed and his back went out. Oof. It's happened 4 times, and bent over, his back went out. And it was just look, there seems to be an inflammatory process here that's going on. Your body doesn't like these foods, doesn't like the alcohol. It creates a lot of inflammation. I think truly that it's not causing the number one thing, but it's a huge factor. And these things aren't talked about.
Yeah.
Especially when you're rehabbing an injury. They just, here's your stretches, rest, here's an injection, here's a pill, avoid it until it feels okay. But then the problem is, again, we avoid things, and it's okay to be in some discomfort when you're healing. It's okay to feel some pain. right? That
Right.
which we talked about.
Yeah.
Because I know you were a little concerned, like, oh, I feel like, no, that's normal.
Right.
If it's lasting more than, 2 to 3 days and it's really, really achy and sore, okay, maybe we pushed it too much. But I always say all information is always good information, even when you have a flare up.
Yeah.
Because it tells us we either pushed it too much, it wasn't ready, or it didn't like that movement yet. And that's okay. It's still information we can use.
Right.
And if you look at it like that, you can't lose.
Right.
It's not bad.
It's so interesting because I feel like when you told me that was a light bulb, right? Like you're like, it should be. You should be a little bit uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you might have a flare up, and I feel like I learned like a lot about that. Like you have to give your body the information for it to give you the signals back at where you're at. And then the other thing was I was frustrated one day, I think. I was just like, oh man, like I'm dealing with this. And you had said, in a voice, we sent each other voice notes. Tell your knee good things. Like tell it it's doing a good job at healing. Like say those things to it and have like that dialogue with your body, which I don't think is something I've never thought. I mean, up until recently, I've never really had a dialogue with my body, but I felt like that was very powerful. Like, okay, like, yeah, I can do that. I can say like, you're doing a good job healing, like keep going. So that's been really eye-opening in the sense, and that goes back to mindset. It's really incredible. And I mean, I think that's also like when we tie that back to the Surf Society and we've talked about mindset and visualization, that's such a component that's so overlooked when people are talking about becoming better at surfing. I feel like they talk about you should have a good mindset, you should do visualization, but they don't really talk about like what that means for you. I feel like we've had a lot of time to explore that as a group in Surf Society, which has been really powerful. I do want to talk about like your visit and the cool stuff we've done. Yeah. So tell us, okay, you got in. Where'd you surf? I didn't surf because I just decided to use the camera and take pictures.
Wind and Sea, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the name? I got it right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still new here, so we're getting accustomed to the millions of breaks that you guys have here. I was joking. I was like, okay, Jacksonville, where do you want to go? The pier or pools?
Right. I know, because like, you're coordinating with your friends on like where you're gonna surf and like they're throwing out different names of like where they're going and she's just laughing. She's like, okay, like we literally have two options.
Yeah.
Or in Jacksonville. And I'm throwing out like so many different names of breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. We ate at Parakeet Cafe, our fucking favorite. Might have to eat there again before you leave.
So good.
We still got more plans, but this morning we went and we surfed with
Paul.
Yeah. Alexis is like, what's Paul up to? Like, does he want? Can he come surfing with us? Explain who Paul is.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
he just like, well, first, he's a phenomenal surfer. I'll say that. It was amazing to watch him.
Yeah.
Like just this whole being of just, he can catch anything also.
Yeah.
I was watching him and like, how does he even see there's a wave coming? And all of a sudden he's just like zipping down the line. I was like, this guy is awesome. And he has been pivotal in just me personally, like some of the workshops that he's done with the Surf Society on types of boards, shapes, and what you should be riding. And, even the video analysis that he's done with us has been so helpful because it's really given me some good tips on like, just some small changes that I need to do based on like the goals that I have with surfing. And he was able to come out. He came out with us today and he was giving us a couple things here and there and I already could tell a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that was the cool, and he was just like super happy to be there.
Yeah.
Like such a cool dude.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool guy. So Paul is a surf guide at the Surf Society. And like Alexis mentioned, he's taught us a number of workshops. And what is just so cool about Paul is like, I mean, like even today I was like, Paul, can we buy you a coffee? He's like, no, I'm good. Can I buy you breakfast? No, I'm good. Like he literally is not doing it for any other reason than wanting to share the things he's learned. Like that's how he said to me. He's like, I feel like this is like me paying back the aloha. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. And we know to always talk about when it comes to learning how to surf or becoming a better surfer. And I would say in the Surf Society, it's really about like refining and opening your mind up to all these things that you don't know. And so there are these people who they didn't even have anyone to teach them how to surf. So Paul's one of them. He's like, we didn't have anyone. We just figured it out over all these years, spending time in the water. But now I feel like if you want to be a really good surfer, you have to have this like generational connection of someone that's going to be able to provide this knowledge to you through their experience. Yes, there's tutorials and videos and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's so nuanced. Like the stuff he told us today was so nuanced. And those are the things that really make a difference in your surfing. So having somebody like Paul, like if you didn't grow up in surfing and you don't have that grandpa, you don't have your dad, but you have the Surf Society and you have access to somebody like Paul, who is the dad that, coached his kids in the surfing. They're out of the house and now he's got to coach new people. And so it's been a big pleasure to have him. Yeah, we surfed with him today. I mean, it was small out, but just the tips, like the things that, like the tip that he gave me about like my paddling speed really changed the way that just kind of opened my eyes because, and this goes alongside with the exercises that you have had me do. So Alexis has had me do a lot of core strength. And I'm not talking like crunches. I'm talking like very specific exercises that target parts of your body. Core strength, ankle strength, just a lot of that. I feel like that in conjunction with what Paul told me today about paddling started to just change my mind about my abilities in the water. I feel a lot stronger. I feel like I'm able to catch more waves. And then with what he added was more technique. Like I kind of already felt like I wasn't catching as many waves as I know I should be. And I was attributing that to just being like, oh, I'm out of shape. Or I feel like I have like a really thick lower body and I'm pulling a lot of weight with it. Just, I would say excuses almost because I didn't know any better. But now that I do know better and we go and do this session with Paul and I feel like I'm see results right away and I see possibility, it's fucking exciting. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I needed that piece of information. And for him to tell me, try this, it was really cool. Yeah. So that's one of the things that like I want to bring more into the Surf Society too. So I'm calling them drills. So having Paul give us these drills on like, hey, when you go out in the water, try these things. Focus on trying these things, see how it changes. And then we can even come back and have discussions about it, just like the video analysis, and see like what we've learned and if you haven't gotten it, if we have more questions about it. So I'm really excited to bring that into our program.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah, it's been awesome. What is more fun than just like visiting friends, going surfing, eating, but then you also got better? You know what I mean? You also improved your game. Like that's dope. Well, before we started this podcast episode, we took out a tray of brownies from the oven. So I think both of us are looking at each other like wondering if those brownies are ready for us. So Alexis, thanks for coming on, reminding us to stay encouraged, stay positive while we're healing. For any of you guys that are out of the water for any period of time, whether you're injured or you're just landlocked or whatever it is, keep that positive mindset.
Yeah.
Awesome. Alexis, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, Instagram, I'm pretty active. The name is Fearless Movement Rehab. And so actually you should follow me because I post a ton of free shit and it's all good stuff. It can all be applied for surfing, technique, exercises. So highly suggest, because like I said, I want to surf when I'm 80, 90 years old. And my goal in the clinic is to teach people how to take care of their body so that they can do that too. And so I always do a ton of free stuff on there. Facebook as well, Fearless Movement Rehab and Chiropractic. But if you ever have a question, just shoot me a DM. I'm pretty active on social that way. Or just connect with me through Surf Society as well.
Yeah. If you want to take part in Alexis's workshops that were in the Surf Society, they're there, they're recorded. I don't remember the names. I could look them up, but I know one was Surf Body Flows to keep you moving or something like that. It was like a flow for...
It's like a mobility routine.
Yeah.
We did a healthy, happy hormones.
Healthy, happy hormones, where we talked about the cycles and what kind of activities you should be doing, and which I am very fascinated with and very more interested in implementing more into the way I operate my monthly life. Pain.
Yeah. We just talked about. Like the guidance of what do you do when you have pain with surfing? Do you surf? Do you not surf? How do you manage the expectations? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. I think there's one or two more in there. But yeah, it was all amazing. So good. And that's what's so fun about the Surf Society. Like we get to come together, but we learn from each other. And I honestly can say it's not just learning from the surf guides. I've learned from the other women that are in there too, that are trying to do the same things that I'm doing, or come here, borrow a board from somebody, whatever it is. It's been a really special connection. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, here we are. You called me one day.
I know.
Asked about the Surf Society, and here we are hanging out together on our 3rd trip. So, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you too. All right, let's go eat some brownies.
Yeah.
All right, lady, we've come to the end of our episode, but not the end of the conversation. After listening, I hope that you feel represented, empowered, and even better connected to your surf sisters in our beautiful surf lady community. Let's stay connected before our next episode. Follow me on Instagram at Confessions of a Surf Lady. And follow our amazing women's surf community where we get together to learn more, surf better, and live happy. That is at Surf Society, spelled SOCIETE. Last but not least, join us in our exclusive Surf Society platform. Join us for your first week free by clicking the link at the top of the show notes. Thank you so much for bringing your unique and beautiful self to our lineup at Confessions of a Surf Lady. I'll see you on our next episode. Your host, Laura Day.